Hello everyone, this is a quick video on my HO Scale Locomotive Collection. About a month ago, I did a video on my HO Scale collection, and I thought it made sense to do a video on my HO Scale collection as well. All my HO locomotives are North American, and many of them are Canadian National locomotives, as that is my local railroad, and I was going to model it before I started collecting 00 gauge British stock. I will be looking at locomotives in the rough order of when I bought them. First up is a Bachmann GP38-2 lettered for Canadian National. This was the very first model train I ever bought, and it still runs fairly well. I have had to do a few minor repairs on it over the years, but most of them were just caused by me not being careful enough since it was my first locomotive. Overall, it's been a pretty good model, and it's served me very well. Up next are a trio of Bachmann GP40s, the first of which is lettered for the Canadian National and numbered 4009. This one came in a train set with 3 grain hoppers, which I'll show you running with in a minute, and it's an okay runner, though it doesn't perform too well at slow speeds. Next is another CN GP40, this time numbered 4008. This model came factory fitted with one of Bachmann's absolute garbage value onboard decoders, and it is hard to control the speed as a result, though it does run well at slow speeds if you mess around with the decoder settings enough and are steady enough on the knob on the controller. And the last of my Bachmann GP40s is one that's lettered for the Burlington, Northern, and Santa Fe Railroad. I've had few issues with this locomotive, although it isn't the best at slow speeds, but then again, it runs completely fine at high speed. Next up is another Bachmann locomotive, an SD40-2. This model is what made me kind of hate Bachmann USA, as I bought it new, and it came with a chunk of chassis missing, the slow speed was terrible straight out of the box, and it kept cutting out. I managed to get the locomotive fixed and running smoother, but it still definitely stopped me from buying Bachmann locomotives for a while, though I'm happy to report that their 00 branch line models are much better than their HO, and since buying some of the branch line models, I've bought a lot more Bachmann models. Next is an Atlas GP38. This is a really smooth running model, and it is definitely one of my favorites to run. I really have nothing more to say other than I should really try and buy some more Atlas locomotives, as they're built like a brick. Next up is some 6-axle Atherton locomotive. I could not find out what this locomotive is specifically, neither the class or what livery it would have been originally in, as the previous owner painted it into a fictional Grand Trunk livery. The locomotive runs well though, so when I found it used for a good price, I decided to pick it up. Next up is an old Canadian National F7 from Model Power. Even though this is an older model, I still really like it. as it has a centrally mounted motor driving boat with bogies, and it runs decently at high speeds as a result. I hadn't tried running Loco for ages before filming this video, and it almost didn't start, but after oiling the dual little, it started running better than ever, which I think just goes to show how well Model Power's stuff was built. Next is a 260 Canadian Pacific Camelback from Mahano. This was the second steam locomotive I ever bought, though it's the first that I bought that still works, as my first steam locomotive was a Bachmann that failed after a few years, and I ended up using it for parts. This Camelback is really nice though, and it runs really well, can pull quite a bit, and looks super unusual with the center cab. Next up is the Canadian National ST40-2 from Athearn. This model came with DCC sound fitted and is really fun to run as a result. I don't really have much more to say other than it's a good runner, and I really like this one. The next model is a Mahano 462 that is lettered for Canadian Pacific. The detail on it isn't exactly the best, but the performance is really good, not just for the age, so I really enjoy running it, as the slow speed control is great, and of course it's fine at the high speeds. I have nothing more to say really, other than I really enjoy it, and I actually recommend getting one if you can find one for a decent price. Next is a USRA 060 from Proto 2000 that is decorated for the Canadian National. This is definitely the best North American steam locomotive I own, as the detail is phenomenal and the loco is covered in pipework and handrail. It has a fully realistic backhead, separately fitted whistle and bell cords, and it is geared to run super slow, meaning it is extremely smooth at slow speeds and high speeds, which is great for switching. It's easily one of my favorite models that I own, and I definitely recommend that you can get one as long as you can find one for under $200. Next up is a Canadian National GP9 from Proto 2000. I bought this locomotive simply because it was really cheap, and I really like the CP maroon and gray livery that it has. For what it's worth, it's a really nice running locomotive. Definitely recommend getting one. Next up is another GP9 from Proto 2000, this time patented for the Canadian National. I bought this at the same time as the Canadian Pacific one, as they were going for really cheap, and I'd always wanted to see a GP9. Not much more to say though, other than the CP one runs slightly better, though this one does seem like it maybe has a cracked gear or something, as I bought it second hand, and I need to replace it. Next up is one of the best looking models I own, but also probably one of the worst running models I own, the Bachmann Western Maryland Russian Decapod. The detail on this is amazing, as it is covered in all sorts of small bits of pipework, valves, and so on. Unfortunately though, the running quality of it is absolutely abysmal. The motor is extremely weak, and the loco can barely haul itself around my track with no load, and I've never been able to get it to pull more than 5 cars at a time, which is a little ridiculous given that this is a 210. I bought this locomotive on bargain, and it came with sound fitted, so it wasn't a total loss, but I was still left very disappointed in this model, and I absolutely do not recommend you buying one. In these clips here, you can see just how sluggish and bad running this model really is. Lastly is my newest HO model, a Go Transit F59PH by Rapido. This model is amazing and is by far my favorite HO model I own. It has so much detail, including handrails, etched grills, a fully detailed cab interior, real chains on the bogies, and the model has working headlights, marker lights, ditch lights, backup lights, and step lights. Adding to that, the slow speed is probably the best I've ever seen on any model, and it is so smooth and powerful at all speeds. People really are not joking when they say that Rapido makes some of the best model locomotives, and while this model definitely was not cheap, it was definitely the most I ever got for my money when buying a new locomotive. That's my entire collection though, so I would like to thank you for watching. Bye!